Okay, it's another episode of Passion, Purpose, and Possibilities, where I talk to my guests about their stories of transformation and how they found their path to purpose. And my guest today is Anna Lavenhar. She's a certified life and health coach who helps high achieving professionals recover from burnout, reconnect with purpose, and create lives that truly support their well being. After years of battling anxiety, addiction, and the relentless pace of the audiovisual industry, Anna walked through her own dark night of the soul, from not wanting to live to rediscovering the light. Today, she loves the life she's created and shares that hard-won wisdom with others. Through a blend of deep compassion, practical tools, and soulful insight, she guides clients through their own transformations towards clarity, healing, and lasting change. Welcome to the podcast, Anna.
Thank you, Candice, for having me.
Excited for you to be here. You know, you and I chatted a little bit before, but like I didn't even get to learn like your whole story. And so I know that, your personal transformation story is super inspiring. I know there are plenty of people out there have gone through what you've gone through. And so it's always my hope, right? That the people listening are inspired by your story, your transformation of change, and how you found like you're happy and you're doing good in the world. And I think some people really need to hear that because people lose hope. So I would
Right.
love for you to share like your story.
Thank you. And if there's one thing I could do today, if I could reach even just one person to give them some hope that, hey, I know you're struggling, but there's life on the other side of that. And we can do practical tools, easy things to get you there. I'm not saying my story is easy, and I'm not saying someone else's story could be easy, but had I learned these tools in my 20s and 30s, maybe not 20s, because in your 20s, you're invincible, right? And nobody could tell you how to live your life better. But had I learned these tools in my 30s, I would probably still be in the commercial audiovisual industry. I would probably still be running my business. Um, there's probably we don't know woulda, shoulda, coulda, right? Like if our life took a different path or a different turn, where we would be now. But I think these are tools that we should be teaching our children, like meditation, body awareness. Those simple things could really paint a different picture for all of us as humans. So sorry, I got on a tangent there, but so I didn't set out to become a life and health coach, although I've always really enjoyed teaching, and I've been a drummer for what has it been? 41 years now. I'm 51, so I started when I was 10 years old, and I've taught a lot of drum lessons. I've done a lot of girls rock and roll camps, and I just really enjoy that mentoring and that teaching. Me providing my experience and what I've learned to someone else. And just touching the lives of somebody through music is really, really cool. Uh, but I was, if you rewind back to, I started my own business when I was 25. I was super high achieving. I was running my own business at that point, 25, 26, constantly pushing my limits. Like I lived life to the extremes. I was up at 5 or 5:30 a.m. for a morning run. I was pounding through the day, running my business, but also doing the work. I had employees, but I was also on the site with the employees, doing client meetings, coming home, having a quick dinner maybe, and then, hitting the office after that and answering emails, doing proposals, estimates, doing, admin stuff, accounts receivable, accounts payable. I wore the hat, all of those hats, because I had to. And then, I exercised also extreme. I would lift heavy weights. I'm a mountain biker, and, some weeknights, most weekends, I was out on the trail, just grueling, punishing trails and pushing myself on both ends. So I worked really hard. I played really hard. I didn't have the self-care routine, to replenish Anna and to have the downtime, right? So I also used alcohol as a way to escape. I guess that was my downtime, if you will. It was kind of the only thing or the only tool, I guess, that I knew how to how to make everything better, how to try to balance everything in my life. That was like my off valve because I didn't know how to have a healthy off valve. So, all of that combined, I eventually spiraled down into a really dark place. I became extremely depressed. I got to a point where I truly did not want to live anymore. I would wake up every morning hating the sunlight coming in my room, hating just the air on my skin, and I immediately wanted the day to be over again. I still drank, but drinking wasn't fun anymore, but it was like the only thing I knew how to do, right? And so, uh, I feel like I truly had a divine intervention. Something guided me to do some research online, and I found a rehab center up in Loveland, Colorado. So Loveland, Colorado has a special place in my heart, not just because of the name, but I mean, it truly saved my life. I found a really great holistic rehab center there. It was 5 weeks. And then, slowly I began to remember who I was again and who I wanted to be, but it was not easy. It was truly a dark night of the soul experience. I had to have my entire identity stripped away from me. And I felt then like I was spiraling out in darkness and I didn't know what was up or down. I question life. What's the meaning of life? What's the purpose? I question God. How could there be a God when, I feel all of this pain? So like on the other side of that, I really felt like, or I envisioned myself as like the phoenix kind of rising up from those ashes. And, and, I can't say right away, but over time, getting my life back together again and becoming who I was, more confident, I knew that I needed to reach out and to help others as well. I didn't know in what capacity at that point. Um, so my background is heavily in audiovisual, commercial audiovisual. So there's a really high burnout in that industry. So I really love the idea of helping them and just, if I have a niche, that's my niche. Helping tech professionals who are in this same boat of extremes, right? They have insane schedules and demands and high maintenance clients. And it's relentless. And a lot of them are traveling a lot. And so that's hard on their bodies. But what I see, and it's very male dominated, what I see is that they're not speaking up. They're not setting their own boundaries. And that if that was one big lesson for me in my career in that technology industry, it was that I didn't speak up. I just white knuckled everything. Like, oh yeah, I can do this. Everybody else is doing it. Yeah, I can do it too. I can keep this schedule. I can work 14 hours today and then the next day and then the next day. you know, that all of that definitely adds up and you end up showing a deficit in your life, because of that sort of lifestyle.
Hmm.
So,
Thank you so much for sharing what that journey was like for you. And, on this podcast, and I just said this the other day, speaking with somebody, anytime I have the opportunity to talk about mental health and suicide prevention, I'm going to like say something, in addition to what you shared. But one thing you said was about being in a dark place and being in pain. And this is
mhm,
what I want to point out to the people listening that may be saying that someone who takes their own life is being selfish. That drives me crazy
right.
because I don't think anybody can understand what it feels like unless we have these conversations, with people such as yourself to have actually been there, been through it. My sister described how she felt the exact same way in a dark hole, feeling like there was no other option, and pain, like physical pain and like mental pain.
Yeah.
And that's what I want people to like kind of wrap their head around is like, okay, just for 1 minute, try to put yourself in somebody else's position of feeling this way, because it's not selfish. It's just the trying to cope. It's just trying to
Yes.
cope and get on the other side. So for you, you you kind of had this like thing happen, like what did you call it? Like divine intervention, right?
Divine
A divine
intervention for sure.
intervention
Yes.
that made you say, stop, and go look up this place in Loveland, Colorado. Um, can you relate it to anything specific? Something that like you might have your a thought in your head or something you heard somewhere else that made you say, Anna, come on, let's change
Right.
this.
Well, and I also want to kind of piggyback on what you just said about the awareness around this. I literally feel like I just woke up one day and felt the heaviness of this depression. And I mean, it was beyond burnout at that point, but and it was just all encompassing. Just it absorbs your all of y- all of what you are, your being, your physical being, your emotional being, your mental, your spiritual. And so I think with your podcast and other people talking about this, and let's normalize these issues, right? Because they're very natural and normal to have. But had I had the tools and the awareness to recognize what was going on, because there was a whole ramp up of that leading up to where I got to, right? You
Mhm.
don't just wake up one day and that stuff happens, right? It was my whole lifestyle. It was everything that led up to that. And so if we can build that awareness, maybe we can help prevent it from getting that bad in the first place, right?
Right.
So yeah, I didn't have the awareness, and I guarantee you alcohol probably played a pretty big role in keeping that awareness away from me, right?
Yes. Well, alcohol is a depressant,
Sure,
right? So
it
that's
sure
just going to
is.
keep making you feel like smaller and like not in control. And I don't
Right.
mean not in control. I mean, yeah, sometimes alcohol makes us act or be a different way than we normally are. But I just mean, it's depressing everything and it's putting, kind of squashing your emotions.
Sure.
So you're not dealing with it.
Yeah, and it's a great denial, a great way to deny a
Hmm.
lot of things that are going on in your life. So that I think that's really key is that we need to, continue having these conversations, continue talking about all of this, and let's give people the tools for um how do we know our lives are leading up to something like this? Like what are the warning signs? What's the awareness? We need to start paying more attention to ourselves and building our own awareness so that we can be the best advocates for ourselves, not someone else going to you. Because I did have somebody in the very end go, Anna, I'm really concerned about you. And he was very, very like serious. I had never seen him as serious before in my life. And I just laughed at him because I didn't that was just my defense mechanism. I didn't know what else to do because he kind of scared me how serious he was when he
Hmm.
was trying to tell me this. But that was way far, that was way too late in the game. Um, had I had somebody trying to help me build that awareness earlier on, maybe that would have played a role. But you asked me, like, did I have any other, I can't remember what you said, but like some warning signs. I used to have this little voice in the back of my head saying, you've got a problem and you're going to have to deal with this someday. And then I would just kind of push that voice aside and go, yeah, I'll deal with it someday.
Mhm. And then
So I
guess
did
that
have
voice,
that.
you had the voice finally said, Anna, it's time.
Yeah. Well, you know how the universe is. It kind of gently knocks at your door, and then you don't answer, you don't listen, and then it knocks a little bit harder, and then it starts pounding, and then it eventually kicks the door open.
Hmm.
So that's kind of been my pattern. I kind of let things get to the point where the universe kicks my door down.
I want to ask you a question about rehab because when you
Sure.
talk about tools, do you actually like receive tools? Are you taught tools there?
In rehab?
Yeah,
Well, so the place that I went to, I mean, I can't speak for all of them,
right.
but I would hope that all of them offer a lot of different tools. Uh, because when you're struggling, especially new to sobriety, you might take out a tool from your toolbox, so to speak, and that might not be the right one. So you got to keep reaching for more and more. Maybe it's the fifth or sixth or 10th tool down in there, right? That
Hmm.
is actually helping you and working. So yeah, they do. A big part is community, right? And I have always said that we as humans, we are not. This is not a solo sport. This is a team sport. We have to have community to survive, and especially when you're going through something like that, you have to you have to lean on, and that makes you very vulnerable, right? When you are leaning on other people. And
Hmm.
but what's cool is in that community, you lean on them, but they also can lean on you and you're happy to help them. And that actually helps you get out of your funk a lot of times is when you have to show up for somebody else, you help them because they're your friend or they're just somebody who's going through the same thing you are and you don't even know them. I feel like it's our natural human instinct to do that, to step in and help them. And man, that changes your brain waves so quickly.
Absolutely agree with that 100%. When you're in service of something or
Sure.
someone, it definitely makes a big difference.
It's a divine thing as
Yeah.
well, you know?
And
But yeah, they to answer your question, food was a huge thing. Like they got all the sugar out of our diet. So it was like extremely low gluten, extremely low sugar because sugar will just keep the effects of the alcohol going, right?
mhm.
It's going to keep your blood glucose, the roller coaster going. You need to get out of that to help yourself to maintain some stability and to lessen the your drive for wanting alcohol or drugs, whatever you're in there for. Um, they introduced us to Reiki, which I thought was really cool. They introduced us to meditation, which I really liked, and I later started doing it myself. So now it's been 14, 14. Well, no, let's see here. Yeah, 14 years since I've started meditating, and I could not imagine my life without it. And I think meditation has a lot of preconceived ideas that are really so off that I really want that to be kind of a focus in my coaching, not just meditation, but breath work. And guess what? Breath work, if you're doing breath work, that's the back door to meditation. So congratulations. If you're doing a breath exercise, you're on your way to meditating. But yeah, so we had all those tools, and then they tested you for everything. There was nothing sacred, like we did adrenal tests, we did urine tests, we did blood tests, and they had us on all these supplements, to help support our bodies and our mental state, right, as best that they could. So when I say it was holistic, like it was a really holistic rehab center. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sounds pretty amazing. And so now you have been able to maintain, and I'm sure probably add different things, change different things for your own well-being practice.
Yeah, for sure. Um, did you want me to talk more on that?
Well, yeah, I would love for you to share that. You know why? Because I think a lot of times what happens is people go in overwhelm and they think they need to do all the things.
Mm,
And, maybe it's just a couple things that need to be tweaked that, in your daily routine or your nightly
right.
routine that could really make a difference in your stress level or how you sleep.
Oh yeah, for sure. So aside from my story, right? My story was pretty extreme, and I was forced to transform in a very short amount of time and very extreme like, right? I had to go from this to this
Yeah.
in like, you know, uh 5 weeks was the rehab, and then I would say the hardest part of my journey was the year after that, and I always hear that as well, that the first year is the hardest. But they helped us implement a lot of things that I stuck with after, I got out. Now, if we're talking about somebody who's not an alcoholic, not a drug addict. They're not depressed to the point where they want to end their lives, but they're struggling. Maybe they're withdrawing from friends or withdrawing from things that they used to enjoy doing. Their productivity at work is decreased. There's lots of signs. Problem solving maybe is compromised. There's forgetfulness, brain fog. They're relying on caffeine and sugar to keep them going through the day. Um, there's lots of different signs. Yeah, I would say breath work, number one, breath work, because our breath directly controls the regulation of the nervous system, right? They're really for stress management, stress resiliency, there aren't a whole lot of easy buttons. Remember the old commercials where they had the big easy button, right?
Hmm.
There
Hmm.
is no big red easy button in life, but if I could pick one that's close to it, it would be start doing some breathing exercises because you are slowing your heart rate down, you're controlling your nervous system, and you're getting out of fight or flight.
I
So,
I can tell you that, sometimes I feel like I'm not breathing. Like
mm-hmm,
I do. I'm aware. I'm aware. I'm like, seem like you haven't even taken a real breath in quite a while. And then I'll do it. But I haven't made it like a daily practice, which I really need to.
right. And if we can start doing a daily practice, I'd even only challenge you to do it 2 minutes a day, and you'll feel a difference, and
Hmm.
you'll start to get tuned into the points where you're starting to kind of get revved up, and then you can catch yourself and do that breathing exercise, and then kind of reverse that whole pattern and stay more in your calm state.
Hmm.
So breathing is really important. Diet. Let's talk about the standard American diet for a second. I mean, is there a reason why that spells out the word sad? Standard American diet?
Diet. Yeah.
Yeah, our diet is sad and it's failing us and we're getting sick because of it. If if we could do two things in our diet, hydrate ourselves better and increase our protein. I
Hmm.
would say those are the two biggest needle movers for diet,
Hmm.
definitely. And then sleep. Sleep is huge. It's enormous for our well-being overall. Our attention spans, our stress management is linked to sleep. Weight loss is linked to sleep. I mean, there's so many things that are linked to sleep. It's not just feeling more energized the next day. There's brain functions that's linked to not getting enough sleep. So I guess if I could pick those three things, that would be my top three things of what people could start doing, and they don't have to go extreme and like just have this huge, like stop eating all of the fast food and you know what I mean? Like you could even just eat your fast food, but prioritize protein, right?
Right. 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 I love that you said this because sometimes we just need simple,
Yeah.
right? Because I don't know, I think we're so fast paced, especially here in the States. Like
Mm, yeah.
we're just running, running, running until we're like wear ourselves out. And if
Yeah.
we just, focused on these three things and not wanting or trying to change everything about our diet or think that we have to meditate and do this breath work, X amount of hours or minutes a day. And, the sleep thing, I mean, I know when I don't sleep well, I so moody. Like, you
Right.
don't want to be around me when
It's a
I haven't had
struggle.
enough sleep, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So let's talk about you and your coaching business. And, I know you have your niche of tech, working with tech people. Do you work with everyday people
I
too?
I do. I work with busy professionals who maybe a lot of times people notice they're starting to struggle at work, right? They notice that first. And so they think that they need career coaching.
Mm,
And maybe that is a part of it too, right? But I'd have to challenge, okay, what does your whole daily routine look like? What kind of foods are you eating? How much sleep are you getting? Do you have any rituals? I think rituals are super important, even if it's a 5-minute mindfulness awareness, journaling, gratitude practice right before your feet hit the floor, something to start your day out other than going to TikTok or going to your work emails and stressing yourself out before you've even put your clothes on.
mhm,
That's really dangerous,
mhm.
doing stuff like that. So, yeah, busy professionals, but I do have a passion, right, for working with the audiovisual crowd because that's my background. But a lot of that high stress, high anxiety, burnout, like that definitely goes to other industries as well, right? It's not just audiovisual. It's just that that's my background. So,
Right. Let's talk about burnout because uh, I know you want people to know what real burnout looks like. Like people just may be thinking like, "Oh yeah, I'm burnt out. I'm exhausted." But it's more
mhm.
than just being exhausted and like tired of maybe, workers.
I mean, that can be part of it for sure. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you might feel a constant fatigue. So, like, what I was feeling, no matter how much sleep I got, I was always fatigued. And then because I was younger, I probably didn't notice it, but when I got a little bit older, like, I started noticing brain fog when you're feeling burnt out. Um, Sometimes people can get headaches. I had a position with a company where I experienced migraines for the first time in my life, and it was an extremely stressful position, and management was not that great there, and so I didn't have that support, and so it was just, and I was trying to fix everything and be superwoman, and it weakens your immune system. I've noticed that I'll get sick more often if I'm in burnout or even approaching burnout. It can change your eating habits. I mean, when I am really anxious, I don't want to eat. I get sick to my stomach, and my stomach is like, we're closed. we, we cannot handle anything right now. But you can also like snap at people that you don't normally snap at. Like you're very reactive. That can definitely be another awareness that you might have, and that might be a coworker or a manager that has to bring that to you and say, "Hey, do you know that you're reacting this way?" And then relying on sugar or caffeine or, excessive amounts of that, to just keep going. And then really what you're doing is you're just forcing your body into this endless blood sugar roller coaster throughout the day, and that affects your sleep and it affects your mood and it affects your hormones and it affects
Hmm.
everything. And I have
Right.
to say, you might even notice changes in your relationships with people, your friends, your family, coworkers, those are all really good signs, I think, of burnout, or you're approaching burnout, or you have prolonged stress exposure and or anxiety.
Yeah, I think this was really good that you pointed out all of these things because I don't think that for a lot of people, as I mentioned, that they see the whole gamut of the symptoms or what can show up. I think a
Mhm.
lot of times we just think, "Oh, I'm so tired, I'm so drained. I don't have enough energy to do, my job or to do the things I need to do at home with my family."
Yeah, or
But
playing
it's
with their kids.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's so much more than that.
Mhm.
I mean, really, you get to the point where you just not cannot even function.
Right. I mean, I got to the point where I smile a lot and I like to joke and I love using sarcasm. I think sarcasm is an art. But I wasn't doing that at the end before I went into rehab. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't smiling. I wasn't joking. I wasn't laughing. If you're doing those sorts of things, that's a huge sign. That's
Yeah.
a very big warning sign. You're
Mm-hmm.
not acting like yourself anymore. But I surrounded myself with a lot of people who were also big drinkers. And so I feel like I didn't get, and I distanced myself from my family during that time. So I don't think I got the honest feedback that I
Yeah.
should have gotten. And I ran my own business. So my manager's going to come to me? Who's that? That's me. you
Right.
know?
Oh my gosh. Is there anything else you want to say about burnout before I ask you another question?
Start talking about it. You
Okay.
know?
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like you've got any of those symptoms, confide in a friend. Send me an email. They'll have my email in the links.
Yeah.
Uh, Talk about it to somebody. Yeah, don't suffer in silence because that is just going to perpetuate what's going on for you, and you may not get any help, and it will just get to the next level, and you don't want that. I had to heal from level 2 adrenal fatigue when I got out of rehab, and that is not fun. That is not fun at all. I couldn't have any caffeine. If I did go for bike rides, it had to be very mellow, like zone 1, zone 2 heart rate kind of. And and sometimes I would push it and I would pay for it.
Oh, not
But,
good.
you just have to get plenty of rest. You have to eat the right diet. You have to be really, really careful. You don't want to get to that point. Let's not get to that point.
Good
That
point.
the stuff that this lifestyle that our culture has integrated into this, we have to do everything and we have to be everything to everybody all the time is bullshit. And
Mhm.
I don't know if I broke a
You're
rule
fine.
by swearing on your podcast. I'm sorry, but
You're
it
fine.
is. We have to put a stop to that because it's
Mhm.
destroying us.
Yeah.
It's destroying our lives, who we are, our families, our careers. It just is a downward spiral. So,
Yes.
okay, now I'm done.
Okay. But I'm glad you shared that. Okay. I want to know about transformation. You know, we are who we are, and we want to be authentic, right? And we
Right.
also want to be vulnerable to, to an extent, of course. But if somebody's not really being true to themselves, let's talk about transformation in that, like, yes, we can pretend to be somebody we're not, but how do we get to that true transformation to have like the best life, to have the well-being, to avoid the burnout, besides these like things like breath work and diet and sleep and taking time for ourselves. I guess the main thing I'm trying to get to here is transformation in like how we could really, really be the person we're supposed to be.
Right. Well, that's a loaded question, Candice.
I know. I know. It's a tough one.
I truly believe that we're here on this planet to have many transformations, not just one. So I feel like we're always evolving, we're always growing, and I'm very spiritual, not so religious. I grew up in a Catholic family, but I kind of like to pull from all different sorts of religions. I'm like, oh, I like that, I like that, I like that. Um, and I believe strongly that religion and we might get some hate email on this. Religion is the vehicle that we drive in order to get to spirituality, right? So what does it matter what make and model or color of car you drive to as long as you're getting to spirituality? And I think that's the big point with transformation is we are spiritual beings having human experiences here on earth and transformation is just a part of that. I would say better awareness, teaching kids body awareness and just self awareness in general in school. I think that could go a long, long, long ways. But we're almost taught to push that away. Like, "Oh, you feel a little tired today? I'm just gonna push through the day and, just white knuckle everything." And we ignore a lot of the small little inklings that that little voice in the back of your head, or that the universe, whatever you wanna call it, is or our gut, our intuition, uh, whatever label you wanna put on it, we're we're taught to, like, just ignore those things. Like,
Yes.
"Nope, sorry, you gotta be there for your family now. You have to do, yeah, soccer practice, and you got this dinner, and, um, oh, and now you have this presentation at work that you have to stay up all night for to finish and do the next day." And, we're constantly pushing ourselves. I was in France this last summer, and they take 6 weeks vacation a year. A and
Nice,
a lot
right?
of them are working 4-day work weeks, you
I
know?
think we need to
I
learn from them.
I think yes, definitely, for sure. There are some, just a side note, there are some research and studies going on in companies and other countries. I know Greenland adapted this, the 4-day work week. And there's other companies, I think in America also, that are trying it out. And what they're finding is that people are more productive and they're not doing 4 10s. We're talking 4 8-hour days. So they're working 32 hours a week. They're more productive, they've found, in those employees in 32 hours than the employees who are working 40.
I
What
believe
does
it.
that tell you?
I know, 'cause
We need
they're
more downtime. We need,
exactly.
we need to listen to ourselves more, and that just comes with awareness. Like, I feel like the key to opening everything is awareness. It's through awareness.
Mhm.
So we need to build those and strengthen those muscles.
I love what you shared about spirituality. And
Okay.
like you, I also like to pull from different places
Yeah,
too. Like I consider myself also spiritual, not religious. Um, I think that we need that part of it, because I think spirituality is what helps us get through a lot of the hard times or difficult times,
absolutely.
and it doesn't matter what you believe or what you want to call it, whether you want to call it God, the universe, the creator,
Right.
um,
Mother.
mother,
Yeah.
goddess,
Yep.
mother earth. It doesn't matter what you call it, but to hold on to something that can help you, cope when things get tough. And
Yes.
or, definitely through grief. I've
Mhm.
ex- totally experienced that multiple times over. And I feel like if I didn't believe in something, I really don't know what would happen, you know?
Right. Yeah. I feel like that's a basic human need, is to have that belief in a power outside of ourselves.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And whatever that looks like to you, that's why religion might be, put people off. I know it did for me for a
Hmm.
long time, because I grew up in the Catholic religion. I didn't even want to say the word God. I called it spirit.
Hmm.
I called it spirit for a while, and that helped me get through that period. But yeah, it's offsetting, like, or off-putting when I was going to AA meetings. They're very, they have this terminology, God, a lot. And that's one of the reasons that put me off getting help earlier, I think. Um, and somebody finally told me, this was written a long time ago. They're not gonna change the terminology, because they decided a long time ago that they would not change. So it's also very biased. It's like masculine, like he, in the book. And so I didn't like that either, but they told me, "You get to interpret all of those words the way that the way that the meanings that you need, and the teachings that you need, and the messages that you need." So I started doing that, and I was like, so it's like kinda goes into a little funnel in my head, and I just, like, and when it comes out, I just, "Oh, okay, I interpret it this way with these words and with this meaning." And that was, like, the key for me.
Yes, I totally understand this because I've having talked to other people and even somebody in my own family. could not relate to AA meetings or NA
It was
meetings.
hard for me, let me tell you.
Yeah, and that was such a complete turnoff for this person that they said, I'm not going. I'm not going.
Right.
And then you know what they said to this person was, you need to find something to connect to. So even if it's not this book and these words and AA philosophy, you need to find something that's going to
Right.
help get you to the other side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And if you can look beyond the words, the terminology that they're using, it is a very spiritual message.
Mm-hmm.
It is very spiritual, and it's the power, the higher power outside of us that's helping us, that or that can help us, that can provide us these gifts that we can't give ourselves. And if you can look at it on that bigger level, instead of, like with blinders on, like, oh, they're using that word again. Yeah, you're not going to get help from that program. But if
Right.
you can look outside of that, and I would challenge anybody, look outside of that. See if you can put in your own interpretation for the words that you're saying.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's chat about how you work with clients.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working with companies, but I'm also, working with employees, clients, one on one. Um, I I prefer to have a 3 month, like a 90-day program with them. However, the world that we live in today, everybody's like, well, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if it could work. So I do offer people like a monthly subscription, but I have a whole framework that is based on those 90 days. So it is best if they stay with that. And science has proven to us that, you're not really going to adapt new or different habits in just a month, right? You know, there's all sorts of research out there showing different numbers of days, right, to adapt a new habit. A month really isn't enough to really start affecting transformation, like true long lasting transformation. And so that's really the key is, I'm going to be working with them on the right strategies, the steps. I think you kind of alluded to this before, but somebody who needs the most amount of help needs the least amount of new things to try in their lives, right? I also look at the things that I'm going to ask this client to do is treat it like an experiment. We're going to start experimenting because I can't tell you that, Candice, for you, that eating more fish more seafood in your life is going to make you, happier and have more energy and feel better. But we could try it, right? And we can log our, our body's reaction, how we feel, our brain power. Do we have less brain fog? Do we have more? Do I feel tired an hour and a half afterwards? It's not providing us that much energy. So I'm going to challenge that client to try new things, but we're going to look at it as experiments. Okay, that didn't work for you. Let's try this other thing. Um, and then, once we gain that rapport and that trust together, I'm going to dig deeper into beliefs and programming because that's really underlying on why somebody would choose an unhealthy habit in their life. It's kind of sophisticated and it's in our subconscious. So I also like to use, Joe Dispenza. He has this really cool program that he does, and it's just reprogramming your brain. So and also a lot of I've always wondered this, why don't we treat ourselves more like elite athletes? Because they have and Joe Dispenza calls it the mental rehearsal. So I create custom mental rehearsals for my clients. Because the more we hear, the way the brain works is, okay, so that old pattern and that old programming, that's in there and that's telling us to do something that's maybe undermining our health. But if we start programming a new message on top of that, but we keep hearing it, we keep listening to that, we're going to start believing that. That's just the way the brain works. That other one will still be there, but then it'll be down in the layers, right? access it that readily if we're not practicing that one. So it's all about integrating the new stuff, the new information in the brain. I do a lot of brain research with some cool doctors, and because I really feel like that's a big part of coaching and helping a client. They come to me because maybe they're in pain, and not just physical pain, right? Maybe it's burnout, right? A lot of it is emotional and mental. um, I want to help affect change in their lives, but I don't want to do it temporarily, because I could get you to change a habit for a couple of months, right? That's easy. A couple of months, no problem. The I want the true long-lasting transformation, for my clients that will stay with them for the rest of their lives, and or until they have a new goal that they
Mm.
want to do. They're ready to move on. Uh, but yeah, what would the point of helping somebody be if it was just very temporary? So that's why we need to look into beliefs. Dig into those beliefs. What kind of programming did they have when they were kids? What kind of role models? What kind of behavior, was modeled for them? And maybe that's why they're doing this behavior. So getting into that is really key for long-lasting transformation.
All right. So, as we're talking about transformation, I know having purpose and not asking you one of the three P questions, but in relationship to you being a coach and helping your clients or companies through transformation, purpose has to play a role in that somewhat,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
tell us about how the two are connected.
So the client has to have a clear picture of their purpose for working with me, right? They're coming to me because they're uncomfortable in some part of their life, or maybe many parts of their life, right? So we want to get to that. We want to discover what that is. What is the purpose? What is so uncomfortable about their lives, right? And then if we reframe that, what would their life look like in 90 days? How would it feel? What would it look like? What new experiences or different experiences would they be having if they had that thing in 90 days? And then we want to look at not just that, but we want to look at why. What's underneath that? Do they want to do it for their kids because they want to be healthy and be around for a really, really long time and be able to play with their kids and their grandkids? That can be a huge motivation for people as well. So yeah, the purpose of what they're doing, what they don't want, what they do want, and then the why. And then I also kind of have to push them too, if they're just still stuck on, well, I want to be healthy for my family. I want to get into the I wanna dig deeper on into why they want it for them, because, like, if you don't really change for yourself, it's probably not gonna stick. So, we really have to discover, what's the true purpose of why I'm doing this for me, you know? Could I be more creative? Do I, lack self-confidence? Do I wanna be more confident? I wanna love myself more, a lot of times that one comes up. Self-love is a huge thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, you wanna dig deeper. We're not just setting goals. Yeah, goals are they're just very short term, I feel like, and like what you were saying, transformation, that's really the key to any, great life and health coach, is they're gonna focus on the long-term transformation. So um getting cues and answers to those questions with that client is going to help give you their big MOFA, their big motivational factor. And so by you capturing that for them, you can help them when they're struggling,
Yeah.
because they just need to anchor back to their big MOFA. What was my big MOFA? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And
And
sometimes we do like physical anchors, like maybe there's a picture on their wall that helps anchor them back to that. Why are they actually doing this? Or maybe it's a song, or maybe it's a smell, you know?
oh, I love that. Very cool. So, is there anything we didn't talk about that you want to share?
Hmm. We got into spirituality. We got into, I did want to say something more about meditation
Go ahead.
because I feel like it was a really big part of me getting back to feeling who I really was and discovering um, my true self again, feeling like a human, but feeling like a spiritual human. And now, like I told you, I can't imagine not having meditation as part of my daily ritual every day. Um, a lot of people think that meditation is, they get a picture of the yogi that's on the mountainside, with in the position, the lotus position, seated with this straight back and perfect form, sitting there for hours, maybe chanting, right? That's not meditation. Meditation is what you make it. And meditation could be very individual, it can be very personal. And so finding your um the technique, I guess, that clicks with you, finding a comfortable place. Number one, that is what I would say is the number one first thing that you want to do is find a comfortable place. Is it laying in bed? Do you have a bad back? Can you not sit like that? Right? Or maybe it's on the couch, get your feet firmly planted on the ground so you're kind of grounded um and that's where I would go from there. Like, you don't have to purchase the expensive meditation cushions and start chanting like a monk and you know what I mean, burning incense. Now, is that part of the ritual that maybe you that jives with you? Yeah, great. It could be. I like to light a candle sometimes. Sometimes I like to do open eye meditation. Sometimes I don't like to do open eye meditation. Sometimes I like to do breathing exercises with my meditation. It is different every single day, and it's like kind of where am I at? How am I feeling? Um I don't do it that often, but sometimes I like to listen to a guided meditation, you know? And sometimes that is a great way for somebody to break into meditation is do some short guided meditations. Or, if that's not your thing, breathe for 2 minutes, like I said. I challenge you to breathe for 2 minutes. I know that you'll slow your heart rate down. You're going to start switching your nervous system from fight or flight back to rest and digest is what they call the other one, or a state of calm, and you're going to feel better. You're going to notice a difference. So, I wanted to say that message because meditation has helped me connect with myself um and it's very spiritual. So I just wanted to kind of cap off our spiritual conversation with a really easy tool that it's accessible to everybody and it's free.
Right.
And it doesn't take that much time. It does not need to take that much time.
So
I
just
do mine for 15 to 20 minutes. Not everybody has to do that. I mean, a 2-minute meditation every single morning will be better than not doing it at all or doing it once in a while.
yes, I was going to ask you. So I'm so glad you shared, on average what it is for you because I was just curious. So 15
Yeah,
to 20 minutes,
right.
that's not a lot of time. I mean, it's a good amount of time to
For some
meditate,
people,
but
maybe with kids, who's got a lot going on in the morning, that might be like, whoa, you're asking me to do that. Whoa, I can't do that. But I know that everybody's got anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes in the morning that they could give up for something like that.
yeah. That was great. I love that. So how can our listeners connect with you? What's the best way?
So that they could either reach out to me via email or visit my website. You're going to have all these links ready for them, right?
Yes, they will
Okay.
all be in the show notes.
My email is anna@levelupcoaching.me, M-E. So that's my email address. I have a lot of cool tips and techniques and tools and stuff that I share on my LinkedIn page. So I'm not even going to attempt to give you that link because
It'll be in the show notes too.
it'll be in the show notes. It'll
Yeah.
be easier. But that would be a great way to connect with me. You can message me on LinkedIn, and I'm on there pretty consistent, doing like three posts a week, and it's usually relatable to high stress, burnout, and the professional, at work. A lot of times I speak to the audiovisual professional, but again, like we needed to change language for AA, right, in our head to mean something for us. You can also change that wording for something, if you're struggling in your career or in a high stress professional job. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so I can't let you go until I ask you the
Right?
three P's.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one is, what is something you're passionate about that people might not know about you?
Okay. So, this I was torn because I was like, well, do I say drumming? Do I say mountain biking? Because I'm really passionate about both, but
You can
I'm
say
gonna pick.
both, you're allowed.
I guess I just did, huh? No, I'm really passionate about drumming. I don't play out anymore, but I've been playing since I was a kid. Like I told you, I was 10 years old when I started playing drums, and it's one of the few things, as well as mountain biking, that immediately connects me into the present moment. And that's why I love both of those things. Rhythm, in particular, has helped me move through many difficult periods in my life. And when you start playing something as a drummer, and I guess when you're at a certain level, right, where you don't have to really focus and concentrate playing it, you're just kind of like in this repetitive trance. It's very meditative. It can be very meditative. Um, so it can help regulate your nervous system. And it really connects me when I'm playing. It really connects me to the essence of who I am.
Yeah.
I feel like. Um, and I would love to be able to, I did some of these workshops with my mom, but we did it as like a meditation. She's a meditation coach, and I got her into meditation too.
Oh, wow.
Um, we would do drumming into dream time is what we called it. And it was a drum circle, and it was for all women. And we might have anywhere from 10 to 15, 20 women in the room, and many of them had never picked up a drum. And we have a drum circle, and we do some drumming, and then we weave it into meditation and kind of in and out of that for like an hour. So I would love, I guess my point is, I would love to be able to weave a drum circle or some sort of drumming into my work someday as a coach.
Ah,
I
very
don't know what it
cool.
would totally look like, but like, drum circles have been known for doing like team building, and it even helps with communication skills. But for stress relief and transformation through coaching, I mean, I think that could be pretty cool to add
Yeah.
that in there.
This is interesting. Well, I have two things to say here. So one is when my kids were like preteen, teenagers, and they were starting to try out different instruments, I was like, oh, I would love to learn how to play the drums, but it never happened. But lately, in the last couple years, I'm seeing more about these drum circles. And I have a really good friend of mine who just recently picked up drumming in these circles. She lives in California. And I'm like, this is like it's like a new craze. Like everybody wants to do this. I think you should totally like go, definitely pursue something with your coaching or some
Okay, so I
meditative
have
retreat
I
or
have
something.
your sign off on this then.
Yes, yes.
All right.
Okay, but the next question is, what is your definition of purpose?
Yeah, and we kind of touched on this earlier. I think it can definitely show up in different forms in different areas of our lives, but it also continuously evolves throughout our lives. Um, so what did I just say there? It drives people at our core, right? It makes the greens greener, it makes the reds redder, and the blues bluer, right? Um, it also leads people to follow their passions. I 3 years ago, I shattered my ankle on the mountain bike trail. And I knew from that point that I was not doing what I was meant to be doing. That was the that was my message from the universe. If you look up symbolism of your ankle, it means direction in life. And I was not on the right path. I was working for a company that was it was pretty, management was pretty messed up, and it was abusive and a lot of weird shit going on in there. But my first thought was, oh, well, I guess I don't need to go into work tomorrow. I mean, how bad is that when
Right.
that's your first thought? So anyway, that's when I started. That was 3 years ago. I started following this tug that I got from the universe, to help people on a deeper level. I really truly have a passion for helping people in any capacity. It doesn't necessarily need to be in the life and health coaching realm. I just really, really enjoy. I just get so much fulfillment from helping people.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. I
that's
think
what I
you,
have on purpose.
I think, yeah, that's definitely it. Everybody describes it differently, as I always say, but it does come down to helping others, like service of others,
Mhm.
as well as, you had touched on, like, it's evolving. It's always evolving. And, we can have more than one purpose.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And it's going to morph throughout our lives as well. I mean, it can. It might not, but it definitely can.
Hmm.
Yep.
Okay, there's one more. And you did share a little bit, but maybe there's something else that goes along with this, or maybe in addition. Uh, is there a possibility, a dream or vision you have for the future?
Yeah, I want to go big here and say that I have a vision of creating like some immersive retreats that blend nervous system healing. I think that's really important. Nature, because I think nature is an incredible healer. Um, movement, music, and deep coaching. And if I get a little deep here, it's that I would envision that this system gently dissolves old patterns, unprocessed pain, and programming that no longer serves us. I think all too much, or all too often, we aren't who we're acting as, right? And it's because of the old programming and beliefs. Um, and the system wouldn't force or push, but it would just invite that healing and transformation in like a way that feels natural and aligned, and offering this as more of a spiritual evolution that could help many people who are ready for the next level of awakening.
Yeah, I love it. Can't wait to find out where it's going to be.
I can't either. It's just a dream right now.
It's okay. That's how they start, right? You have to plant
Right.
the seed and then let it grow.
Right. Right.
Oh, Anna, it's been fun talking to you, and I love everything that you shared today, and hopefully our listeners are inspired to, don't suffer in silence. Don't keep dealing with the burnout or signs of burnout.
Yeah. Don't buy into that.
Yeah.
There's so much more to life. And and there is hope. There's happiness and joy on the other side. And I know those words get overused. So maybe it's more like there's contentment on the other side, because happy is just, an emotion that comes and goes. We're not happy all the time, but yeah, there's hope for a better life. You don't have to struggle so much. I guess that's really my message. We don't need to struggle so much.
Yeah. I think, that is a core message here, because how often do we think, especially people in a working environment, whether you're working corporate, whether you're a solopreneur, whether, whatever kind of business you might have, we're
Mhm.
always thinking that we have to, like, work harder and, just
Yes.
keep pushing ourselves, when, you know what, we don't have to. We can take a step back and enjoy life too as we become successful.
Right. Yeah, self-care is not a suggestion, it's essential for us as human beings. And if we don't pay attention to that, we will pay for it eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun, Candice.
It
And
was,
thank you for your message. I love listening to your podcast.
thank you so much.